Y'all, I'm gonna try to get y'all this message in one take and not redo the video or edit the video. Um, so the topic is about how certain situations might not be the greatest to live in temporarily. Basically, where you would go through hell again, not the lake of fire hell after you go through the first death or whatever, but while you alive in the flesh. So like, you know how people say hell is here on earth. Yeah, that's the hell I'm talking about. But also just your condition and position in life and what you're going through, what you're dealing with in your household, um, your bills, your all these things, your family, if you got kids, husbands, boyfriends, or just whatever you're dealing with, uncles, whoever, drama, whatever you're dealing with that makes it hell, excuse me. Bed bugs, rats coming in your house, apartment. Hell, some people don't even have an apartment or house. They might be living in a hotel or whatever it is, whatever kind of hell you going through or was going through, and you got to go back into living in hell for a while just to temporarily get yourself where you need to be financially or spiritually or music, mentally, physically, whatever it is. For me, I'm gonna give y'all my story a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of brief some of it to get to the main parts, I believe. So I was living in my grandma's house, the same house I'm in right now, a couple of years ago, and I remember it was like my uncle, when he got out of prison, my grandma let him come back and live with him, so he was here, and my niece was here with her newborn and her baby daddy. They was all living here too, and my grandma was here, and I think that was it. Um, Also, we had a dog. Some of y'all know the dog that I used to call Yatsachak, for short, Yats, Yatz. And it was, you know, it was chaos every now and then in here. It was not a lot of peace. I was already dealing with like a lot of headaches, head pain, cluster migraines all the time, trying to avoid a lot of loud noise, and so I'm already dealing with that physically. Then got to deal with the dog, his barking and all this, and then the bed bugs was eating you up, biting you every now and then. You got to deal with them, losing some of your sleep, because when you try to go to sleep, they wake you up. Then you got to kill them and make sure you're good, and then you go to sleep. And then if it wasn't the bed bugs, sometimes the rats would come in. We had this house that burnt down next door to my grandma, and the guy, he said he was going to repair it, but he didn't repair the house. He just left it there for months, and it was just ruins. And these rats came and they infested that house, and they just spread from that house throughout the neighborhood. They was going from house to house, and sometimes they would hit my grandma's house. So, and I was in the living room, which was right behind me on the couch, and they would come in the kitchen because they want something to eat. They want the food, right? So I would hear me here, and I'm like, I gotta go to work at 6 in the morning. Um, so I had to get up, try to track these rats down, catch them, get them out of here, either kill them or catch them and let them go somewhere else. I ended up catching like 9, let 2 go, and a dog killed one outside. So that's 10 total. But so, and then the newborn, y'all know newborns be loud sometimes. You can't always get peace all the time because you know how they are. And then my baby, my sons, I mean not my sons, my niece and her baby daddy would be arguing, and I don't know if they ever fought here, but they probably, I don't know, I can't remember. Then sometimes you got to deal with that drama. Then you got my uncle got out of prison, coming home late, 2 o'clock in the morning, knocking on the window, waking me up. I'm trying to go to sleep so I can get up early for work. Here he come, ruining my sleep. And then my grandma threatening to put him out and telling me don't let him back in here if he come to let him in. So he getting mad at me for not letting him in, and then you know it was just chaos. But anyway, so yeah, it was chaos here. And when I got an opportunity to move out, I moved out, right? So this was the hell that I was talking about. And I'm gonna get y'all to the point where I had to come back to live in hell. It's in a minute. But it's for a very, very good reason. And we'll get to that. So then you got when I moved out abruptly. Like it wasn't planned. I remember the way things were going here. I just I, I ended up working 132 days in a row because I couldn't get no peace like that. And when I would try to take a day off or keep a Sabbath day, somebody would interrupt it. So I just left. I just left and went to work. And it was like that a lot of times when I couldn't get no peace or rest. I would just leave and go to work because I could always work. Nobody could stop me from working, except God, of course. But you know, like I could always go to work. So I didn't take a day off. I just took time off, a couple of hours, and go back to work. But so 132 days go by, and my body starts to give out on me. My body is shutting down. I remember it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I was near a grocery store called Food Lion in, my city and state. So I just pulled over in the parking lot and I just laid back in my seat and I just wanted to go to sleep. But I knew living here, trying to come back and go to sleep, just wasn't gonna happen. Because I slept on the couch at my grandma, it's her house. She gonna be in the living room blasting her TV. Ain't no way you gonna get no sleep in here, especially in the condition that I was in with my head pain and headaches. No, I wasn't gonna get no sleep here until everything was quiet and cooled down and. So I was like, well, why don't you just rent a hotel room and just see if you can deal with that? So I did it for a week. Went into a hotel room the first night. First night I get there, it's funny because some people was arguing outside and somebody had a machete threatening, I guess, to, use it on somebody. And I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, drama's everywhere, evil spirits everywhere. And it was a funny, unique experience because when I got to the hotel, it was somebody left a little roach, a very small part of a blunt on the stove. I was like, man, that's ghetto, but you combine all that together, you got you a ghetto hotel. But hey, it was peaceful though overall. I mean, I got my first night sleep on the bed in a long time because I was sleeping on the couch for a while. I woke up feeling rejuvenated and I was grateful. I was happy. And I didn't want to go back to my grandma's house. I had enough money to just do whatever. So I just would come back, get some clothes and, towel, wash rag and stuff to wash with and go back to the hotel. And the second day I realized, well, why don't you just look for an apartment or a house or something? But I realized the house takes too long. So I was like, let me just go for an apartment that's faster. To me anyway, in my experience. So I ended up looking for a place and I found a place, and then maybe like the third or the fourth day being in the hotel, they said the apartment was ready. So I was able to just go from the hotel to the apartment and not have to spend the rest of my nights in the hotel. It was optional if I wanted to, but I just, slept in the apartment since it was already ready. And yeah, so those last 3 nights I didn't even use in the hotel. I ain't even think to go get my money back. I ain't even care. But I mean, if I could have anyway. But yeah, I ain't even care because I know some policies, if you spend like three nights out of it's a certain amount of nights if you spend, they'll still charge you for some rules are different. But anyway, I ain't even care. I just yeah, okay. So that's me going from here to the apartment abruptly. Like I didn't have no plans to do it. It just happened, and I wasn't financially okay. I was just financially better. Financially okay is when you don't owe the IRS and you good. Like the first year I was doing my job at Instacart, like I owed IRS at the end of the year like $6,000. they wanted like 9,000 and some change, and I only had like only saved like 6,000, and I kept it. I wasn't gonna give it all to them because I ain't have all the 9,000 to pay, so I just paid the state and left the federal. It was like 1,000 something for the federal. I mean for the state, and 8,000 or 7,000 something for the federal. So I just left the federal because I ain't have it. So I was already in the hole the first year, and I never got out the hole the second year, further in the hole with taxes. And then things just started getting worse and worse, and I never got financially okay. So things got, now we're getting to the point where I had to come back to hell. So I'm gonna brief this part, then we're gonna get to the part where I come back to hell and how I'm gonna get out of it, and the great part about going back to hell. So when I was in that apartment, I looked at it like it was a hospital to me, my own personal hospital. I can heal in this place. Even though I was sometimes sick in there and still dealt with head pain, it was still better than living here because I was able to have more peace and rest and things like that. But I ended up in 2022 trying to do this job, Twitch, and get paid on Twitch, and that took a long time to even qualify to get paid. And then once you do qualify, you have to do certain things to get paid, and I wasn't gonna do all kind of crazy things to get paid, so I never got paid. And I ended up going back. I went to work part-time to do Twitch, and that was a bad idea because I never made anything from Twitch. And then I didn't want to go back to work full-time yet. So meanwhile, bills are getting it's getting harder and harder for me to pay bills because I'm working part-time, and I'm spending money on these credit cards, running up the credit card, spending money I don't have. And it gets to the point where I got to pay my rent on a credit card, which was new, but as time went on, it became a kind of common thing. So then I'm maxing out credit cards. 2023, not a great year financially. 2024, not. I was starting to get it back on track around that time, or maybe around the end of 2023, something like that. I also wanted to get right spiritually, so I didn't want to go back full time either. So I got back where I needed to be spiritually, and then I went back to work full time. But I didn't know how to maintain being right spiritually. I learned. So after I learned though, I was okay. But so 2025 comes, and I'm still owing the IRS. Probably owe them like 20 to 30 something thousand. I owe the debt of the credit cards maybe like 30 something thousand, and I have hardly any ways out of this situation. The gas bill, I let it get cut off. So I was dealing with the winter, and with no heat unless you boil water on the stove, and I use space heaters in the oven, to warm up. I mean, I got through it, but it's not the easiest way to get through it. But it was easier than I thought it would be. But then the light bill started getting higher and higher, and I get to the point where I need help to pay the rent, and God willing, I was able to get it. But then after a while, I get evicted, and I'll skip how that went because I already talked about that in detail in the video. So I get evicted, or I don't know the status of it because I voluntarily left. So I don't know, because they ain't had to put the padlock on the door. I just packed up and left because I couldn't make the payment in full by the 28th of February 2025. So I'm like, okay, well, according to the letter, you got to be out of here. So I just started packing everything and moving out, and went into a hotel that night. And I was in a hotel for a month and a half or however long. I just came back to live with my grandma 2 days ago on the 19th, I believe. So the thing, what was going on with that was I thought I could sustain or survive living in a hotel for a year, but I wasn't making the same amount of money that I used to make. I was getting close to it, but not able to keep it up. And I was also, like, my old SUV was in the shop, so the engine blew. and I ain't had the money to fix all the things that it needed to be fixed. It was more than that needed to be fixed on it. So I was in a rental, because the job I have, you can't work if you don't got a car or transportation. So I was in a rental. The rental was like 305. Well, not that it matters, but the rental was like 305 a week, and then the hotels was like let's just say like 390 to 405 a week. So I was paying for that, and other expenses too, but other bills, credit cards, and So I thought I could do it, but it was getting harder and harder, and then I get to the point where one of these hotel rooms they put me in recently. This is just a bonus, but it kind of goes with the story. It was this hotel room that had bed bugs in it. I saw a bed bug on the bed, so I called and got switched to another room. Keep that in mind, right? And the same room had roaches in it too. Lots of roaches, even outside, just in the hallway. You could see the roaches, just Then, my grandma's house has the same thing, and that's what I was trying to avoid, the bed bugs. I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to deal with the lack of peace either. So my thing was, or fear in a way, was coming back to deal with the bed bugs and the noise and the lack of rest and peace, because I knew it was going to be like that. That's what my mindset was. I was trying to avoid it as long as I could, but it was getting to a point where my money was running out. So I knew it was either I'm gonna have to go back and live in hell, as I call it. So 17 minutes into the video, we're gonna talk about this living in hell. So you kind of already had an idea of what it was like before. Now my uncle, who was here before, he's in prison again, so he's not here this time around. Now it's my grandma, my mom lives here, and my nephew and my niece, little baby, is here, but my niece is not here. She got her own place. The one who was here before with her baby daddy and her newborn, she's no longer here, but her baby is here, and she's 3 years old. And so it's all of them, and now me. So I come back, and it's good that I was allowed to come back. I was welcomed and everything, but I was trying to avoid it. So I come back, and I had this idea and understanding that since I was never financially okay, this time around I need to use my information, my wisdom that God has allowed me to have about what I know, how to invest and make a lot of money, to help myself and others, my family, do better, and we all branch off and do better all financially, or as many of us as is willing to do it, God willing. Because I left abruptly. I didn't have a plan to move out. It was just at that time, because it just happened. My body just gave out, and I went to the hotel. I'm just briefing it, and I just the next day just started looking for places to live, and I ended up getting a place in a few days, and I moved out into the apartment. It was all in 1 week. I didn't expect that at that time, but I wasn't financially okay. I didn't, yeah, it was just, so this time around I want to get to a point where I'm going to be financially okay, and help others get there in this household, and also others, whoever I can help. But in this time when I go, my mindset and idea is to be ready, so I won't have to come back and live through this hell. So my idea of coming back to hell, or the point of this video is, like, sometimes you gotta go back to hell, or a state of being that was like hell to you or is hell to you to make your life and others better. Because sometimes you got to go back where you started and get yourself together, and along the way, in my case anyway, along the way, help others get themselves together so you and others can profit, benefit, and do well in life and help others. You know what I mean? So those are some of my goals while I'm in hell. And I mean, it's things that I'm learning here too, because the same sufferings I was suffering outside of this place, just without them. And it wasn't as easy because all of it was on me financially, but here I don't have to worry about so much of the financial part. Of course, I need to help financially and do other stuff here, but it's a bit easier when you got help. And while I got the help, I'm gonna use my information and wisdom to invest and help them invest, get some jobs, and we make money and get financially where we need to be, and then we branch out. If whoever gonna move here, whatever's gonna happen. But that's some of the plans I have, and yeah. So I don't know who this video might help, but I just thought about sharing that because everybody's situation might not be the same, but in some form or way, some people have to go back in hell and turn things around for the better for them and others, and then maybe they part ways again. Now, some other people's cases might be they might have to come back and live with a boyfriend or girlfriend for a while, or husband or wife, or maybe they were separated and come back together. And I don't know what all kind of hells people have been dealing with, but this was the hell that I was talking about. Or maybe some people was or is living in hell and they need to go back where it's not hell. Like if you're married and you're separated and you're going through hell, maybe you just need to go back to your mate, because some people married but separated, and sometimes they might fear, like I did, for whatever reasons, going back. But sometimes the fear isn't worth keeping you from it, because sometimes it's blessings to going back that you were unaware of. And this kind of goes back to Proverbs 3:6. Acknowledge him in all your ways and he will direct your paths. And it might be another one. It is in the New Testament somewhere where it talks about, I don't know how it worded it. I could track it down and read it word for word. But I remember it was somebody that was sick. And Jesus said something like, the sick need a doctor, but those who aren't sick don't need one. And so he was basically saying, like, you need to go to those who are sick. And I'm not saying how the scripture said it exactly, but that's the one I'm referring to. And I remember that example benefited me because I used to try to avoid this lady, because every time I contacted her, it was always some bad news, and I didn't want to hear no more bad news. So I avoided her for months, for a long time. But when I finally reached out, it wasn't bad news. It was good news. Or at least if it was any bad news, it wasn't like the previous times. It was different because this time we actually did some spiritual and biblical stuff. We prayed, we read scriptures, and she was open-minded to reading like hidden biblical books. And we did this 3 days in a row. We prayed 3 days in a row. And little did I know that going to the sick, as Jesus said, I want to read it word for word. I'm probably pull it up in a minute. But going to the sick that needed a doctor, like a spiritual healing, or needed to get what they needed to be spiritually, she was able to be benefited, and me too, because I wasn't where I needed to be spiritually at that time, and working with her helped me get where I needed to be. But I didn't know that because I was avoiding her, thinking when I reach out, it's gonna be bad news, So I'm like, I don't wanna. But I learned the lesson from that, and it kind of goes with what I was saying. Like maybe, or the fear you got about going back to a certain hell might not be worth fearing, because it could be some benefits and blessings from going there. And I mean, I even thought about how Jesus was in hell, I don't know if he had to go back, but he was in there. But I mean, that did come to my mind. But so anyway, it's probably a lot of other scriptures that y'all might have thought of that I didn't, but those are just the two that came to my mind. I'm gonna pull this up so I can read word for word. I'm pretty much done with the video now, y'all, but I just want to get this word for word. The sick need a physician scripture. Let's see, where is that? Luke 5:31. Is it not the healthy who need? That's our words, y'all. Is it not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick? Oh, it is not the way I thought. Okay, it is not the healthy that need a doctor, but the sick. And that was me. I was the sick one because I wasn't spiritually where I needed to be at that time. And the person who I didn't want to reach out to was also sick. In my opinion, she wasn't where she needed to be either spiritually. So we both benefited each other because we was doing the spiritual and biblical work. And I'm, as far as I know, I'm always be thankful for that. God willing, I'll never forget it. And I love her for that. Not like in wanting to be with her, like, in that type of way, romantically, or, to marry her. No, I love her for that part that we was able to do, because I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that. People that help you get where you need to be spiritually are some of the greatest people. And that's just me saying that, but that's my opinion. There are. Because the spiritual part is one of the most important parts. All right, y'all, I done talked enough. It's 27 minutes and 20, whatever, into the video. But I'm gonna wrap it up. That's just what I was gonna talk about the hell, going back to hell, and the benefits of it. So I'm gonna make the best of this, God willing, and help others along the way. Like I said, that's the plan. Or I'm gonna die doing that. So, that's my plan. I'm out of here. Peace be to the saints. All right, y'all.